Hi, everybody. Greetings and salutations. We're also going to talk about sandwiching sources, the claim evidence commentary sandwich. And so we've talked about how to avoid plagiarism, how to cite sources, how to integrate them. Now we want to think about just another level up of using our sources. So yes, we need to avoid plagiarism. We want to cite and use quotations, paraphrases, or summaries. We want to integrate with ties, that's tag, introduce, embed, split, and avoid dropped quotes. But we also want to sandwich our sources. So you can see all the layers in this delicious looking sandwich here. Okay, so if you imagine it as the simplest of sandwich, let me move this down just a little bit. The top layer of that sandwich is your claim or idea. Remember, this is your essay. You're the author. You want to use your sources. You don't want your sources to take over your paper. It shouldn't just be like a collage of quotations sort of loosely tied together or sewn together, right? It's not a quilt. This is your essay. You have a claim, an argument that you're making. And so you make that claim, and then the middle layer of that sandwich is evidence that you're using to support it, evidence that you got from your reading or your research. So that textual evidence. Now this evidence can be a paraphrase or a summary as well. I keep talking about it as quotations, but just be aware it could be a paraphrase or summary as well. So you want to have that evidence, that textual evidence in there, and then you're going to follow with commentary. This is your commentary. This is going back to your ideas, your discussion of the quotation or paraphrase or summary, okay? And you can have more than one sandwich per body paragraph, but every body paragraph should have at least one sandwich. So you can kind of think about it as there are simple sandwiches. Maybe it's just a cheese sandwich, right? There's just bread, cheese, and bread, right? Maybe it's peanut butter and jelly. You have bread and, two things inside and more bread. So it can be more complex than this kind of simple sandwich that I'm showing here. But I want to give you an example, and this one is rather simple. This is from my earlier quiz, and so it's important to recognize that not every goal is equally important. That's a claim. Then I have, as Duckworth explains, so I'm introducing my quote. I'm using ties to integrate it. Quote, grit is not at all about stubbornly pursuing every single low-level goal on your list. And then I have my citation right here. So I know where my readers can know where I got this quotation from. And then I follow with commentary. While I want to get a good grade in my class, I don't have to get an A on every assignment to get an A in the course. So what do I think is important about this quotation? So I'm using an example as commentary, but I'm still commenting with my own understanding, my own example. So if you kind of think about it as like the basic parts of the body paragraph is you have that topic sentence, you have a supporting claim, you have evidence with a signal phrase and citation, and commentary. So I'll have to move my talking head a little bit again. I have a more extended example because I want you to see that it's not always as simple, right? So I decided to use a different quote, and I actually used two quotes from two different sources, which is another thing that you kind of want to aim for is your body paragraphs should not be organized by sources. Your sources should be integrated anywhere in the essay that they are most logically connected. So I decided I was going to make a claim. As I work toward becoming a high school teacher, I know I will need grit. Okay, so that would be my topic sentence. This is focused actively. Okay, all right, that's a supporting claim, right? Now I have my part of grit on, sorry, the integration of the quote. Part of grit on Duckworth's grit scale is, so I'm embedding here, quote, active preparation for later in life, 77. So I've added my citation here, okay? And then I have my commentary. I cannot just stumble into teaching. So I need that active preparation, okay? Now I'm going to bring in a second piece of evidence from a different source. In fact, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's a really classic kind of introduction to a quote, right? Then I have the evidence itself. High school teachers typically have at least a bachelor's degree. In addition, public school teachers must have a state-issued certification or license, which may require an academic background in the subjects they will be certified to teach. Okay, and now I have commentary again. Therefore, I will need to actively pursue each of those mid-level goals along the way. So a couple tricks. I find that the thing that people struggle with the most with the claim evidence commentary sandwich is the commentary part of it. So one trick that helps out, especially in the rough draft, is to follow each quotation with "this shows that," and then edit the because if you start off with "this shows that," there should be a complete thought afterwards. And then a warning that I have for you about commentary is you don't want to, you want to analyze the wording, you want to, commentary is hard to explain is it's very one situation. If you have this claim and you have this quote, then it has to have this kind of commentary, whereas another claim and another quote would call for a different kind of commentary. So you really have to think about, why am I including this quote for the reader? What is it that I want them to get out of the quotation that I included? And so that will help you think about it. There's no perfect formula for writing good commentary. So just a reminder, our sandwich that you want to keep in your mind is I make a claim, I follow with evidence, and I follow with commentary. And that will help you develop your body paragraphs.